How about now? I think you should be able to hear me. How about now? How about now? How about now? Okay, so I think that's better. You should be able to hear me. How about now? How about now? Okay, so good morning, everyone. Like I said earlier, and this is not in any way to give myself an excuse, but just because of the current conditions. But I already made a promise, so one of the things I like to do is to keep to the things that I already say I'm going to do. All right. So we've looked at number one, a mindset, a graveyard, a garden, not a graveyard. We've looked at think, um, curiosity, not conformity. And those two things are very necessary if we would live very purposeful lives. And by the way, again, my name is Adewale Timothy, and I'm the rabbi. Um, very intentional about purpose and much more, bringing as many as I can on that journey of purpose. All right. And you right there happen to be one of the persons. And one of the things you've done to steer yourself onto better works is to be here. Right. And that is why I would strive to do better, to make it bigger, to make it clearer, most importantly. All right. So then, let's look at it. Think producer, not consumer. Where is this theme coming from? Because this is something I didn't just randomly put these things down. These are things that I have had contact with. I've thought about meditations, getting to observe people's actions and reactions. I've looked at it and I've seen some certain things happen over time. And this is one of the mindsets that I want to talk about. That's the consumer mindset. The consumer mindset. What's the consumer mindset? The consumer mindset is a mental orientation that that finds expression in a person's character, which makes you look for what to take and you never give. In the world of economics, the consumer seems like the most important factor in all of the equation. It's always because of the consumer, always because of the consumer. But guess what we're not thinking? The consumer is not the one making the profits, it's the producers. So if you always keep yourself at the consumer end, you you are not really set for profit. You're like even if they always say the customer is always right, the customer is not the one earning the money, it's the producer, right? And that's just in the world of economics. Think about it in the context of biology. If all animals did was to consume and never produce, eventually they're going to die. This is what I mean. The food animals eat eventually translates into dung, right? They go poo. And then their poo forms the manure for the plants, right? Forms manure for the plants. So there's always that cycle where if you consume, you should produce. But now, let me narrow it down. One of the things that makes you feel very dissatisfied with yourself is when you are not producing anything. And this is what I mean. There's always a feeling of dissatisfaction, unfulfillment when you're not producing stuff. If you're the kind of person who is always consuming the internet, you're always eating Facebook, eating Instagram, eating Snapchat, eating Telegram, WhatsApp. I think this is dead as well. I just have to remove this. Alright, so I think you should be able to hear me, but sound audio won't be so clear. Remember, I'm doing this because it has to be done. Alright, it has to be done. I'm not in the conditions that help me to do this. So for then, I made a promise to you. So I'm going to keep to that promise. I am. Now, if you're the kind of person who is always consuming things like that, you would really, there's going to be a heavy feeling of unfulfillment. So what am I talking about this morning? I'm trying to stir you or stir that side of creativity from within you. Remember, yesterday we talked about curiosity, not conformity. Now we're building on that, where you go the extra mile and you are producing things. You're not just always thinking of receiving, you're also thinking of what can I give? What can I give up? What can I produce? What can I offer? You're also thinking about that. What can I offer? What can I offer? It's a consistent question you must always ask yourself. What can I offer? In a world that is full of a lot of things, you're asking, what can I offer? What can I also give? What can I also give? So don't just always stay there getting to receive and taking all that is being given. You must also learn to produce stuff, because that way you are stepping into your creative side. You are able to bring and produce something. Now, there's a saying that goes thus: some people are affected by change, right? Some people are affected by change. Some people know what change is happening, while there are the others who will make the change. Right? Some people make the change. So you want to move from the person who are just affected by change to the person who is making the change. Because in God's creative order or creative plan, creative agenda for you, He wants you to be a co-creator. To be a co-creator. So there is creativity resident in you, but you must shift your mindset from being consumer to a producer. It's nice that you get to look for the latest deliverables. That's awesome. But are you thinking, what also can I put out in the market? What can I put on the social media? I'm not just talking about putting out any garbage. Something that can help someone. There's something you know. Okay, can I start a math tutorial on YouTube page? Or can I start a how-to page? Maybe you could produce something. Produce something. And perhaps you're thinking, I don't know what to produce. Can you produce the things you consume? Think about that. Can you produce the things you consume? Don't just sit on your bed laughing all day at skits, at reels. What are you doing? Honestly, what are you doing? You see, until you begin to think about this, you never really see the problem. If you keep eating and eating and eating and you never pass feces out, you're going to blow up one day. You feel bloated, and if you feel bloated and you keep on eating, you're going to destroy your system. So that's exactly, and guess what? When you're bloated, you feel uncomfortable. That is what's happening to you. You've eaten so much and given so little, so you feel bloated. That will feel unfulfilled dissatisfaction with yourself. So I'm here to tell you that there is creativity on your inside. There is something you can do. There is something you should be doing. There is something, sit down, think about it, process it. What can Timothy do? How can I help people? Now, it's one of the reasons why I sat down like, okay, let's have 14 days of mental repositioning. I mean, I'm sure you can already tell. I always tell people, and it's something you've heard me say here already, that if you're waiting to have everything you need before you do what you should do, trust me, you may never do anything in the first place. There's the group of people who wanted to start a business. The business. They hadn't done any business before, had no experience of how business runs. And then they went to meet a man and they're asking for a capital of $50,000. So until you have $50,000, you won't start something. That's very magical. Alright? Very magical. There is always somewhere to start with. Do the best with what you have until what you have can do the best. Start with something. I can assure you, in a year time, the quality of videos I'll push out here would be better, a whole lot more better. I can assure you of that. Alright, but I will not now say, okay, I'll wait till next year before I put out stuff. Because there's always, evolution always happens. There's always an improvement. The largest room is room for improvements. There's always an opportunity to get yourself to be better. So this is one of many videos to push you into your producer element. Start thinking about I'm a producer, I'm not a consumer.
I mean, the consumer has no choice. It takes whatever is being produced. Take, for example, a lot of things have been changing. A lot of products in Nigeria, particularly, have been changing in size, in color, in texture, in price. All right, but guess what? It's food. You have to buy it. But then, if you're on the producer side, and then all those factors are changing, you take in some of them. The profits are coming into you. So you're now thinking, what can I give to others? How can I be of help? What can I do? How can I assist? What help can I give? So start thinking producer. Don't limit yourself. Don't keep yourself at the consumer end. Because however the market goes, you'll be affected by it. So do not just watch change happen. Do not just be affected by change, but you be the maker of change. I'll say that again. Do not just watch change happen. Do not allow change happen to you alone. Also, make sure that you are the creator of change. And start with you. Start with your life. Start with you. Start by correcting some things. Start by changing some things. Start by thinking in some certain way. Alright? That's why I'm bringing this mindset to you. Think producer, not consumer. Alright? Don't be the kind of person who is always open about, you know, all the latest news. Which one did you make? You know where this person traveled to. Where did you go to? You know, so I mean, it's a different thing if you gather this information. Make a blog post. Now you have a blog. Maybe you have a YouTube channel, and then I'm not asking you to go gossip. And then you're helping people understand something. Maybe you're good with finances and all that. You can start something on maybe a Telegram channel that just helps people know how to manage their finances. I'm not talking about all these fraudulent crypto channels that are existing today. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying you look for something. And like I said, if it feels hard to create something, look for, or rather create the things that you're consuming. Look at it and create something like it. There's always room for everybody. And one thing I want to correct you on is this. If you feel like, oh, what I would have loved to do, there are already a billion people doing it. You can literally go on Google and search for example, what I'm doing. I'm not the first to talk about purpose or mindset. I mean, there are people who have gone way ahead of me. But would that stop me? No. Why? The more information, the better. You know, the currency of today is information. So the value of the information you can produce determines the kind of attention you attract, and eventually the kind of resources that flow to you. And the beautiful part of this is that nobody has to come down for someone else to go up. You know, in the world of economics, that's usually what happens with monopoly, where one person wants to handle all and control the markets at the expense of other producers' profit. But it really doesn't have to happen in the world of purpose. I mean, there is, and that's one of the reasons why you can see the sky. It's so large. There are a million birds flying, but never have we heard that two birds jump in the sky. At least I haven't heard of that. There's enough space for everybody. That's what I'm trying to say. So regardless of if someone else has done it, you can look at it and your method of doing the same thing might be different. Your should I say, you can niche down your consumers or the people that you are speaking to. You can niche on that. You can look at it on, okay, what platform? Maybe, okay, it's done on YouTube. Will you try to do yours on WhatsApp? Would you try to do yours on, or how? So there's always a way, but you must sit down and start thinking like a producer. How does a producer think? Number one, a producer thinks of what can be done, not if it can be done. He knows that, oh, this can be done, so how can we do it? Number two, a producer thinks about it's not just for you now, you look at what people need, all right, and look at how it blends with what you can give. I don't know if you understand that. It's like the place, that middle point. It's like where there are three circles. What people need. Number one, what you can give. Number two, and your original elements of creativity. That is your core, what the Lord will have you do. So when those three, at that center point, you'll actually find what you should be doing. In my case now, I know that there's a lot of people who need some upgrade with their mindsets and which eventually would help them walk and live a life of purpose. So they need that. What can I do? I can talk from now to the end of today, and that's not a problem for me. And then what am I, what do I believe is God's instructional assignment to me? Is to reconcile people to purpose. So now, the blending of those three makes me know exactly how to go about this. So you see, you also can sit down, start thinking like a producer. As you're gathering, it's all right to consume, it's all right when you consume to produce, but don't just consume and consume alone. That's dangerous. It's all right to consume to produce, but don't consume and consume alone. I don't know if you understand that. And I think that will be all for today on Think Producer, not Consumer. I want you to say that to yourself. Think producer, not consumer. Think producer, not consumer. So again, like I would always say, start from somewhere. Do the best with what you have until what you have can do the best. I'll say that again. Do the best with what you have until what you have can do the best. Start with what you have. Start with it, alright? I know of stories of the people who you see doing big things and producing stuff, they didn't start with what they have right now. They started with that desire and that passion, that hunger to do whatever it is they knew they should be doing. They started off, and as they kept themselves going, it's normal that growth will happen where determination and passion meets. So as time went on, they began to extend, extend, extend. So don't just be carried. One of the things I like to do is when I see a successful person that I admire so much, what do? I go to their beginning. So I'm not discouraged. I know they started somewhere, and everything big starts small. So in your producer attempts, do not just be overwhelmed by how big the projects you're seeing. There's always somewhere to start from. So start somewhere. There's always, if it looks spontaneous, it means that you've lost sight of the first step. If you take, start somewhere. Look beneath your feet and see, how can I do from here? What can I do from here? So start somewhere. Alright, start somewhere. And with all that being said, I believe that you should be able to navigate your path towards the life of fulfillment. So again, I think that prayer as far as because I'm in conditions where I really didn't have the best of equipment. But as time goes on, I'll make sure to have that. Alright, like I already told you, trust me, you don't expect. At least I'm very confident. I mean, next time I won't be too far. But definitely the quality of videos we put here will be better, way better. Alright. So again, this is 14 days of mental repositioning, and then day 4 is already done with. Tomorrow is going to be day 5. I'm going to talking about something also important. It's like I'm going to go progressively. So let me tell you, we're going to be looking at think globally, not locally. Think global, not local. Yep, we'll look at that. Think global, not local. And I'm going to help you understand how you can go about that. Alright, I'm the Rabbi, the number one cheerleader, and I'm always rooting for you. I'm looking forward to hearing your progress story and to see how this has helped you. Alright, don't forget to follow the Telegram community at the Rabbi Global. You can just search on that on your Telegram page. And yes, definitely follow us on Instagram. Alright, you'll see some of the things that happen there. But then much more, I want you to be intentional about this. See it to the end. It's a challenge, and we're already at day 4, 10 days to go. See you at the end. Have a great day ahead.